Hello, welcome to Crypto News. Today is May 25th, 2025, and the top cryptocurrency news is as follows. And to wrap up, since May 23rd, BlackRock had a total of $430 million in inflows and closed the day with a total of $211 million, regardless of the fact that some were selling quite a bit. Let's say that last week, the spot Bitcoin ETF saw a total of $275.3 billion in inflows. Moving on, we'll go to our exchanges and start with CRYPTONEWS, which has secured a license from the European Union to issue crypto derivatives, essentially for various cryptocurrencies that the exchange supports. We also learned that it has a partnership with Canary Capital, specifically Crypto.com and Canary Capital are launching a U.S. investment fund designed to provide exposure to Cronos, according to the announcement. That is, the Canary Crow Trust will be created, which as we said is a trust, but nothing prevents it from requesting an ETF in the future. And we from Crypto.com will move on to Kraken, which has also received a license from the European Union, specifically MyFID2, and can now trade crypto derivatives. And from Kraken, we will also move on to Binance, which will bring $1, the stablecoin of World Liberty Finance, that is Mr. Trump's DeFi, to Europe with limited exchanges in Europe. As Binance itself said in its announcement, it clarified that trading of the stablecoin will be limited with trading restrictions in the EU and the U.S. because this is a stablecoin that has very close ties to the U.S. As far as we understand, it is not yet certain what is happening with the legislation. From our exchanges, we will go to our currencies and we will go to a Solana watch, specifically the Swiss watch company, Franck Muller, has made a Solana watch, which has the special feature that each watch has its own barcode. The owner of the watch will scan it and gain access to a Solana wallet, which is unique to each watch, as you understand. Let me tell you that there are very few of them, and specifically there are 1,111 pieces, and each of them is worth 20,000 Swiss francs, or $24,300. So if someone sees you with this watch, they will probably take you with them along with the watch. And we, moving on from the Solana clocks, will go to the SUI, which you certainly heard yesterday. I had some questions on the episode. First, let's say that we are referring to the freezing of $162 million. The SUI tells us that each validator on its network has a specific file in which addresses can be placed. These addresses will be rejected and will not be processed. It tells us that more than a third of the validators, almost 50%, decided to place two addresses in these files, which are believed to be associated with criminals. As a result, since most of the SUI validators decided to reject these addresses were frozen, and with them, the $162 million they contained. Additionally, I want to tell you that Cetus has called a community vote, a vote in the community, which proposes an upgrade to SUI itself to get the $162 million back, without rolling back chain history or canceling transactions. Essentially, they are looking for a way to get the money back without affecting the SUI network. Let me tell you at this point that SUI itself says that it will not participate in the vote and will remain neutral, as it says that the votes are for the community and that SUI is here to build the infrastructure on which the rest of the ecosystem will be built. And it says that Cetus must commit to doing everything it can to solve the problem that it created itself. The latest news on SUI in this case is that, as Cetus tells us, they have not yet received any communication from the criminals to see if they can get their money back. For this reason, they have also announced a $5 million bounty to anyone who can give them information, continuing to tell you that Cetus itself has also published a Q&A for those interested in learning more. While there are, of course, the critics. According to this article, there are many critics who argue that the move will jeopardize the immutable nature of SUI. And we are referring to the vote that Cetus requested to get the money back. While researchers like Mr. ZachXBT have also condemned the reward offer from Cetus and the SUI Foundation as vague and ineffective. So we, from the latest news about SUI and its ecosystem, will also turn to our video games in the cryptocurrency market. And we will turn to Square Enix, the company that makes Final Fantasy and other well-known video games, which, as you know from the cryptocurrency news, has its own video game called Symbiogenesis, which is a video game on a blockchain. At first, it was on the Polygon blockchain, but from there, it is moving and going to the Soneum blockchain, which is the Sony blockchain, please. We do not know more details about this move, but little by little, we see that Sony is expanding more and more into cryptocurrency. And we'll move on to our latest news about Ember Sword, one of the most well-known video games in the cryptocurrency market, and one of the video games that many thought would do very well. However, they announced to us that after 4 years, in which they had raised $203 million from the NFT presale, which was a piece of land if I remember correctly, we learned that they lacked the funding needed to continue their operations. And for this reason, they are essentially closing their doors. So this is another video game where we see that it has run out of money, and we moving on will also go to the cryptocurrency market, which stands at $108,000. That wraps up the top news for crypto. Today is May 25th, 2025. I'd like to remind you that the content you just watched is created for educational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice, but rather as investment opinion. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and feel free to comment. Take care everyone and have a good day.